what it is. It's an illness. I mean, it just is what it is. There's the flu. I mean, people don't get chickenpox or the measles too much anymore at all. But, I mean, these are all things that are a part of everyone's daily movement. You know what I mean? Like, this is no different. Like, you have a job to do in life in order to be able to survive, you know, your weeks, your months, your years. You can't just stop working. We're talking about people's jobs. So when you look at the situation, it's like so many people try to justify, like, oh, well, they may miss a game, or they may have to cancel a game, or this, that, and the other. You're talking about people who have to do the best that they can to be as responsible as they can not to get it. And that's anything else, right? That's just like anything else. Yeah, I was thinking back to when, you know, and everybody bear with me on this, but I can remember, you know, when you know, AIDS and HIV really came onto the scene really heavily. And it became this thing, and it hit in terms of mass proportion the way that, you know, the way that COVID hit. But nonetheless, it was a virus that came along that was new in so many ways and was taking people up out of here. Like, they were leaving here when you got it. It was like that was the death wish at one point in time. You don't even hear people talk about that too much anymore.
Not to the same level. The drugs,
not to the same level, right?
And everything.
Well, it wasn't just the drugs either. It was like, you know, interaction.
Well, and when you learned about it, right?
Right. So
there was so much unknown. Remember,
but it was a crippling fear. And I didn't, you know, yes, right?
And
so,
here he is,
so
still out there, and we play the Magic Johnson Twitter game and celebrate all his big moments and the growth of his business and everything. But yeah, he became one of the faces of how do you live with an HIV positive status.
But do you recall how much people were like panicking?
Absolutely.
It's like, oh my gosh, like, this is taking us up out of here. And I don't recall the season ever getting canceled. I saw Magic retire, but I never saw a season get canceled. So when you start thinking about where this virus is and its spreadability and its impact on people, and I just lost a close friend to COVID, and so it's very real. It's very real. You can get it, you know, easier. It's transmitted and it's seemingly just very easily. So when you're talking about the fact that something new is taking lives, you know, you have to take the conversation seriously. But at the same time, you do have to understand that you still, like, what type of death are you going to choose, basically? Like, for kids, that's different. But for an adult, you have to take certain risks every single day in order to be able to provide. So you have to figure out what's the best approach, what's the most responsible way of going about what your business is. And whatever that conclusion is, that's a conclusion that you have to live with on your own. But you also have to live with the fact that we all have choices to make. If you choose that you don't want to be around and not deal with the possibilities of getting it, Mike, but you also have to deal with what comes with you not being around. You know, because life ultimately has to continue to go on. And I think that that's the point of all of this is, it's like, man, I don't know what the right or wrong answer is to how this whole COVID thing plays out, what happens. I just know this, and talking with the people that I talk to, they say if you're vaccinated, then obviously that you introduce the virus to your body, and your body has built antibodies that are going to be able to fight it. Just common sense. So the idea of it is that if you don't want to take the vaccine, if you have your belief system and all those different things, no judgments. It's the same exact thing with looking at it as if Bill Belichick doesn't want somebody that isn't vaccinated, if any of the other coaches don't want somebody on the team that isn't vaccinated, whether they can say it outwardly or not say it outwardly, they're thinking to themselves, your self-decision is ultimately possibly going to cost the entirety of this team. And so if you're going to come to work and that's what your belief system is and that's what you're going to ride with, then you ultimately have to deal with the consequences and the repercussions of putting other people at risk with something that you're okay at being at risk for.
Well, and that's the larger part, right? To be, society and societal good and within your team, family, we use it all the time, it's family, right? You're supposed to be looking out for your family, right? Why Ron Rivera was so frustrated and as I've said since the beginning of this, LeVar inconsistent, right? You got football players that every down is a risk, an assumed risk that you're taking. And when you go to the trainer room to get the painkiller, line it up. You know what the long-term effects are on those necessarily? Nope, you're trying to get back out on the field as fast as you can. So the I need more information line doesn't work for me. Right? I mean, I'm just calling what it is. And, at Swollen Dome, you want to yell at me and get it off your chest on a Sunday morning, have at it. I'll wear it all the way through. It's just the interesting time, because right now they're holding steady at 93%. Obviously, Carson Wentz and Darius Leonard are two guys that in Indianapolis that are drawing a lot of fire from fans, Chris Ballard with an impassioned speech the other day, and certainly the local scribes and pundits when you're looking at a roster that should be competitive. But while injury is something you can't account for, right? Guys get hurt, certainly. Carson Wentz has a history. But the fact that you leave the door open for this is what, everybody raises their hand. And we stipulate, yes, you can get it. You mentioned it before. But as we've seen, hospitalizations and deaths are negligible.